안녕하세요. 저는 영화 보는 간 신부 채널을 가지고 있는 프레드릭 신부예요. 한국에 온 지 5년 됐고 미국 사람이에요. 아직 한국말을 열심히 공부하고 있어요. 그래서 틀린 것을 있으면 이해해 주세요. 제가 아마 5년 전에 검은사제들을 처음 봤어요. 엑소시스트 영화 너무너무 좋아요. 그 엑소시스트 오리지널 영화 너무 좋았고 검은사제들 봤을 때 엑소시스트에 대해 많이 생각하게 했어요. I think that 검은사제들 tells kind of the same story as The Exorcist, but using a lot more symbols instead of dialogue to explain what's going on. And I really enjoyed watching 검은사제들, seeing the religious symbols that are inside there. They really make that movie come alive. Yes, I think especially in 검은사제들, the symbol of the pig is extremely important. And that symbol, it comes from a Bible story of when Jesus actually did an exorcism. And when he made the demons, he sent them out. The demons ended up going into the pigs. And what I saw from the movie 검은사제들, the pigs and animals were symbolic of what the demon wants us to become. And I think the reason it is because the demon, what they want from us is to act like animals. So in the end, the pig is kind of a symbol of the pig that we all have inside of us, the animal-like thing that can sometimes come out. And that's what the demon wants us to do. He wants us to act like animals. 성경 안에서 이름은 너무 중요해요. 이름은 알면 그 사람 알아요. 하느님의 이름도 항상 사람들이 알고 싶어요. So that's why in 검은사제들 it's so important that the priests know the name of the demon. And this is because the demon is inviting people to have bad habits, to be addicted to certain things. And the first step to overcome those bad habits or those addictions is to identify what they are. If you don't accept the fact that you have a demon inside and you don't know what it is, you can't give it a name, then it's impossible for you to get rid of that demon. And so knowing the name of the demon is sometimes important to be able to get it out. 그 이름을 알면 나가게 할 수 있어요. 구마하면, 실제로 하면 이런 것을 사용해요. 이것은 영대예요. 그리고 검은사제들 이거 나와요. 영대는. We usually wear it like this. We put it on around our shoulders. And we wear it like this. And the reason we wear the stole is that the stole represents Jesus Christ, right? So in the same way that Jesus carried the cross on his shoulders, we wear this, the stole, on our shoulders. And this stole always has images of crosses on it. In 검은사제들 also, at one point, they actually take the stole and they tied down the possessed person's hands. When it's tied down with the Yongdae, the demon can't break that bond. It's a very powerful thing, and they used it symbolically in the movie to show that it's not the priest power makes the demon go out, it's actually Christ power. 이거 holy water이에요, 성수예요. 이거 자주 사용해요. 신자들이 나쁜 장소 느끼면 신부님 성수랑 축복할 수 있어요. In 검은사제들, they use holy water. And holy water is a symbol, the reason we use water, because it's a symbol of baptism. In baptism, we all die with Christ, but also rise with him again. So it's a reminder that Jesus has risen, and again, it's his power that does this. And sometimes in exorcisms, it's kind of common that when the priest sprinkles holy water on them, they'll react to it they hate it, right? They really don't like it. And so using things like holy water, using the stole, there are things that a priest can use to combat the demon when they're doing exorcism. And they do that in 검은사제들 as well. They use holy water. In an exorcism, the role of the priest is to let God work through him. The priest is there to believe in God and let the power of Christ work through him and have Christ be the one that makes the demon go away. Because we priests are just normal people as well. We're not special in any way. We represent Christ, yes, but we need the power of Christ to work through us. So that's the role of a priest. So actually seeing Korean occult films, I really think they're unique because of how they show different perspectives and different religions also trying to deal with the problem of evil. So you get movies like Koksong, which has a mudang, and Pamyo also has a mudang. So I learned a lot about, I didn't know about mudang before. I didn't know about, in English we say Korean shamanism. I didn't really know about that. But in those movies I learned quite a bit. 사바하 봤을 때 첫 번째 장면은 너무 좋았어요. 시작하면 염소 봐요. 그 염소는 상징이에요. The goat is a symbol that's in the Bible, and it's kind of the opposite symbol of a sheep. So the sheep is a symbol of the community of the church. Jesus is called the Good Shepherd that leads that community. And the opposite of that is the goat. The goat in the Bible is a symbol of a bad community or a bad faithful, someone who's not living their religion correctly. So to start a movie about Saibi, about an occult group like this with a goat, to me, I was like, he understands this perfectly. He understands the symbolism behind this. So I really liked how he opened with the goat. Then later on, the goat doesn't really come back. But I thought that starting it with the goat to me was meaningful because this is a movie about Saibi. Another thing I really liked was when the main character, he starts to tell a Bible story. He tells the story of Herod and how Herod used religion to do evil things. Herod commands that every child who was under 2 years old be killed because he was afraid of the Messiah that was coming. And the main character tells that story because the people that were in charge of the Saibi that come out in that story, they're doing the same thing. They start using religion to do evil things for their own gain. They use religion to kill people, to do evil. And that, I think, is what makes a Saibi a bad thing. Saibi 있으면 보통 리더가 자기를 위해 종교를 만들어요. 그렇게 하면 너무 나빠요. When you have a leader of a religious group who uses religion to control people and to do things for their own gain, that's a real sign that that religious group could be a Saibi, right? And so it's very important to be careful. The leaders of religion need to be careful about why they're doing what they're doing. I need to be careful too. If I start practicing and leading my religious people for me, I could start to do Saibi-like things, right? So it's really important that the leaders of religious groups, they don't do it for themselves, but they do it for God. I don't like Saibis. 파묘 봤을 때 마지막 장면 너무 좋았어요. In the very last scene, you have the three people who are trying to fight this evil. It's a different type of evil than in Sabaha or in Komun Sajidul. They're fighting an evil that's in a certain place. It's in that tomb, right? So they're fighting an evil that's there. So the three of the main characters get together and they have to go up against this very evil spirit who is controlling that place. So the three main characters are getting ready to fight this evil. And one of the characters actually quotes the Bible. He quotes a verse from Ecclesiastes that reads like this: "An enemy might be able to defeat one person, but two people can stand back to defend each other. And three people are even stronger. They are like a rope that has three parts wrapped together. It is very hard to break." And something I really liked about Pamyo was the three main characters had to work together to defeat this evil. And they truly had a transformation. Because the three main characters at first, in the first half of the film, everything they do is for money. They're always talking about money and how much the people are paying them. But then in the second half of the film, all of them say it's not about the money anymore. This is about just truly doing good. And they have to really depend on each other and fight this evil together. And I love the fact that they quoted the Bible there. One of the people there is a Christian, that a lot of times to fight evil, you have to do it in a community. You can't do it alone. You need to do it together in a community. And I thought that Pamyo really showed that aspect very well. I also thought in Pamyo that the imagery of the snake with the lady head was one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in a movie. It was shocking. I thought it was very creepy. Yeah, that was so creepy. Yeah, I love that. 재미있게 봤어요, 그 장면. 사바하 봤을 때 진짜 무서운 장면이 있었어요. The leader of the Saibi he's in a room and he's having a dream. And all of these people start slowly crawling down the walls. And there's little girls, actually. They all start crawling down the walls and going towards him. I thought that was really creepy. And it showed, for me, it showed what a Saibi is all about, right? He was gathering all these innocent people towards him, but he was corrupting them. So I thought that scenery was scary and creepy in Sabaha. That was the scariest thing in Sabaha that I remember. In Pamyo, when the window opened as well, and all the evil spirit went in, that I got chills as well. 그 장면 봤을 때 소름 돋았어요. 제 생각엔 이 세 개 영화 연결이 있어요. Yeah, so I actually think that all the movies that this director has made are talking about different forms of evil, different ways that evil can manifest themselves. And so specifically in Sabaha and Pamyo, in Sabaha it's about the evil that can take place inside of a Saibi. When religion goes wrong, when religion doesn't do what it's supposed to do, when religious leaders are selfish, that's terrible things can happen. And that's what Sabaha is about. Pamyo, on the other hand, is about the past sins of people and how they can affect us. Even when we're perfectly innocent, people can corrupt places. They can make places be evil because of things that they did there before. And I can innocently come to that place and be affected by that evil. Sometimes in life, we're affected by things, by the evil that other people do that we didn't do. We're completely innocent. And yet this evil that someone else did, they can make places evil. So that's what Pamyo is about for me. And then if you go back to Komen Sajid, that evil is about the evil that can be inside of us. Each of us has an animal that we have to control, a demon that can be inside of us and that can come out. So I've really thought that these three movies explore how evil can be present in our lives in different ways. I think that this director understands evil. Maybe he's experienced it, but he understands something about evil. And something else that's interesting about his movies, in his movies, the evil is always conquered, right? In all three of the movies, evil doesn't prevail. It gets beaten. And so that's another thing I liked about his movies, is that he kind of shows you the evil, but then he also shows you how you defeat the evil. So that's why I really like this director's films. Yes, I would say that there were some things that I needed to learn about to understand certain things. I knew a little bit about the Japanese occupation before I came to Korea. But when I came to Korea, I realized how long it was, and I saw firsthand what people experienced during the Japanese occupation. So I understand, I understand where that comes from in the culture. I think also in Koksong, the bad character is also Japanese, right? And I understand why that is. And that's something that's done in movies sometimes too. Like there was an era in the United States when the bad guy was always an Englishman, right? Or like in other movies, there's always a German, right? So sometimes to portray, you need to put a character in that people will identify with. And for me, being someone who's not Korean, I didn't quite get it at first, why it was Japanese, but now I understand it more. Nothing is Japanese people, by the way, but it's just the way it is kind of in the culture. And then there were other things that were hard for me to understand. I didn't know anything about Mudang when I watched some Korean films, Koksong and Pamyo especially. So I learned a lot about what they do, what types of things they do. I would like to learn more. But that was also interesting to see that aspect of Korean culture. And I really learned about it watching movies more than anything. So yes, so when I watched those scenes, especially the one in Koksong, That scene really shocked me, actually. It's very well edited. That scene is crazy. The way that they're dancing and the way that the shaman just kind of lets himself go to fight this evil. That was amazingly done in the movie in Koksong. It's also well done in Pamyo. They have another scene where a similar thing happens. 너무 재미있을 것 같아요. 그 새로운 영화 만들면 이 다 캐릭터들이 같이 하면 그 영화 보고 싶어요. 아벤져스처럼 그 보고 싶어요. 네. 짧게 대답하면 아니에요. Because the way that the Catholic Church does exorcism and the way that, for example, a Mudang does exorcism, he uses very different methods, right? Because of that, we couldn't do them together at the same time. Now, it could be that maybe there's a relationship that builds between people of different religions and they all try and do something to help get rid of this evil. In that sense, I've actually seen that before. Like at different times, different religions trying to do it. It's just not something that I think you could do at the same time, right? I don't think that that's something that would happen. I think there's a Korean TV series where this happens, the Thunderguest. In Thunderguest, I think they actually do, it's like the climax of the whole series. They actually do like an exorcism with Mudang, but also with a Catholic priest. That in real life probably wouldn't happen. But yes, there could be a collaboration between different religions to fight some sort of evil. Yes, that I do think could be appropriate. 똑같은 시간에 못 해요. 하지만 아마도 그 전에 무당하면 그리고 다음에 그 엑소시즘 하면 할 수도 있어요. 하지만 I don't know of a case where that's happened yet in real life. I haven't seen one myself. In real life, when a priest does an exorcism, we find that demons can affect people and affect the world in 3 different ways. The first one is called infestation, and that is when a demon enters into things. It could be a place, it could be some sort of object, and it's usually when a lot of evil has been done in that place, a bad thing can happen. So in Pamyo, we see that that's the main way that evil comes in. The place, that 장소, becomes bad, right? And so that would be called an infestation. Another way that a demon can affect us is they can enter our minds and confuse us. And that technically, in English, it's called an obsession. Obsession. The demon can get in and make us obsess over certain things. It could make us become addicted to certain things. And that's what happens in a lot of saibis as well. People get a lot of wrong information. And so a demon can affect that way as well. And then the third way that a demon can affect people is full-on possession, when they take control of that person's body and totally control them and make them do what they don't want to do, right? So that's another form of evil that is present. So in each of these films, I just see that he explores one of these ways that in real Catholic exorcism, we see how demons can affect us, right? There's full-on possession, there are cases of obsession, and there's cases of infestation. And each of these films kind of explores one of those aspects. Another reason I really like all 3 of them. That's a good question. I have to think about it though. Next, I think he could do a movie that focuses specifically on addiction. Addiction as a true evil that takes us over. Addiction to whatever it might be. It could be drugs, it could be computer, it could be anything. But I think he could find a symbol for addiction, which is another way that we can truly suffer evil. I think that he could find another symbol for that and make a movie about the evil of addiction, which is definitely another way that evil can overcome us. 네, 중독돼. 아마 그거 that would be interesting. But I don't know. He kind of covered all of evil with these 3 films. It's pretty complete. If he makes another one, I'd be interested to see what his next sort of exploration of evil would be.